Well, PAX wasn't exactly the most amount of fun that you could have had. I did at least get to play some demos. And I have my notebook here because I know I'm going to forget easily. So, let's talk about them in the order that I did them, except one I did not get to play, which was Metroid Prime 4. I will talk about it though, because I did spot a few things while watching someone else play, and before a security guard came up and said, no. But, first off the rank was Hyrule Warriors Age of Imprisonment. The game looked really smooth. I was pleasantly surprised at how smooth it ran, considering original Hyrule Warriors and Age of Calamity did not run all that well on Switch, from what people were telling me. The only experience that I have with Age of Calamity was during the charity event Switch Up Shuffle, in which we only played that for a certain amount of time anyways. And I was blindfolded for a majority of that, but that's beside the point. There was definitely a lot of enemies on the screen. I would say more than Age of Calamity and the original Hyrule Warriors. In the demo, you got to take on Constructs, Frox, and a Stone Talus in the depths of Hyrule. Minoru, Rauru, and Zelda were all playable, with Minoru having a Zonai wheel as one of her movement options, and could also construct with Zonai equipment via auto build to attack enemies. It was really cool to see. Zelda has a sword. I'm unsure if it's the Broken Master Sword. Maybe she gets that at some point. Or if it was an actual Zonai sword given to her by Rauru or Minoru. But interesting to note nonetheless. Same dodging mechanics and lock-on mechanics as Tears of the Kingdom. Probably the same with Hyrule Warriors, Age of Calamity, with Breath of the Wild, lock-on and dodging mechanics, but considering Tears of the Kingdom and Breath of the Wild have the same mechanics, you would understand why that would be the case. A big thing you need to be mindful about while playing Age of Imprisonment is your Zonai battery, considering you use that for a lot of the Zonai devices that you will find around. Obviously, there will be ways for you to upgrade and improve upon your Zonai battery and other bits of equipment like in previous Hyrule Warrior games as you continue to play. But something you need to definitely be mindful of while adventuring through either the depths, main Hyrule, and I would even suggest we go up to the sky at some point. One other thing that I quickly noticed while going through the demo is that Rauru hits hard. Rauru hits like a freaking truck in that game. He's obviously the very tanky character, with Zelda being the more all-around character and Minoru being the more gimmicky character. There's also sync attacks, and I saw Rauru and Zelda use them together, just combine their hands, and you use the left and the right sticks to control either Rauru or Zelda or potentially other characters while using their sync attacks, and I found that particularly interesting. I also got really lucky with getting into the Age of Imprisonment demo, as I was the last one in the line before it got cut off for the first time in the day. Hyrule Warriors Age of Imprisonment releases on November 6th, 2025. The second demo that I played during PAX Australia was actually Pokemon Legends EA. I got really lucky with that. But with Pokemon Legends EA, there was actually two demos. There was one for the Battle Zone, and one for the Rogue Mega Evolution. It used the Switch 2 edition of Pokemon Legends EA, which does run smoothly. Big question mark on the Nintendo Switch 1 version, though. I'm curious to see how that runs. I reckon it probably runs as well as what Scarlet and Violet does on Switch 1, which isn't good. It runs very poorly, Scarlet and Violet does on Switch 1, and I'm assuming that ZA will do the same, unfortunately for Switch 1 owners. In the Battle Zone demo, you are given all level 6 Pokemon, that being a Chikorita, a Fletchling, a Mareep, and a Wurmple, to take on 3 different trainers that are rank Z, and there was another one that was rank X that kicked my backside. Battles in this game when you are a low rank are going to be difficult. I can tell you that one for free. Speaking of the battles, actually, they're no longer turn based, they're real time. And that messed me up at the beginning, not understanding that it's actually real time. If you've ever played Pokemon Unite, then you know how that battle mechanic works. It's sort of similar, but also different in many ways. Every trainer defeated earns you medals, which can be exchanged for Poke in the game, clearly, and points to rank up. You need about 1,000 points during the demo to rank up, and I would assume that the points needed will continue to increase as you continue on with ranking up in ZA. It's definitely going to have a big emphasis on battles against other trainers. It seems more of a battling sort of mechanic game than it does a catching sort of mechanic game. Although I do hope that they keep the way that the Pokedex was in Arceus with ZA. Fingers crossed on that one, and fingers crossed that they also bring back the shiny noise. If you're curious, no, you do not have a way to interact with wild Pokemon during these two demos, so there's no possible way to see a shiny in this demo that I'm aware of. It may be different with the demos that were given to people that were invited to go to Paris or other events promoting ZA, but in the demo that was at PAX Aus, you do not have the chance to battle wild Pokemon. The battle zone is also only run at night, and it does change location every night around Lumiose City. Although within the demo, it stated at the beginning that it was as the same place as last night, so there could be a chance that the battle zone stays in one place multiple nights in a row. Two other things that I noticed during the demo is that Pokemon can indeed follow you. They brought back the following Pokemon mechanic, which is very good. And also, there is a way for you to travel around Lumiose City quite quickly, which will be very handy, especially later in the game, I will expect. They did tell us not to use the travel spots or even open up the map during the demo. Immediately, as you were told to open up the map, you were told to close it rather quickly. So clearly, they didn't want us seeing something during that demo, as it may lead to a lot of different spoilers for the actual main story. One thing also with the menus is that there was four options. There was the Pokedex, the satchel, the menu, the settings option, and a rank ZA or a royal ZA. I can't remember the name of the button off the top of my head, and I may have also gotten the buttons wrong. Future Editor Zach, here's the bit where you can correct me. Thank you, because I knew I messed up something there. With that being said, the second part of that demo was the Rogue Mega Evolution. You follow around a 10% Zygarde to the location of a Rogue Mega Absol. Emma and AZ are there to assist you with actually taking on the Rogue Mega Absol by AZ specifically giving you the Lucario and the Mega Bracelet. Pretty sure it's called the Mega Ring. Regardless, you were given a level 28 Lucario to Mega Evolve versus a level 25 Absol, which I would suspect is rather early in the game, maybe after a few badges or activities, if there is badges in this game, who knows. The Mega Absol will try to attack you and your Pokemon, so do be mindful of that. There is a way to dodge by using the Y button, but you must make sure that you're not locked on to the Absol or other particular Pokemon that you're facing, or else you're going to end up being absolutely detonated. You also have to continue to pick up Mega Energy, I will assume that's what it's called, in order to Mega Evolve during a Rogue Mega Evolution. You can Mega Evolve more than once in the battle, which is good. Obviously, that's only during the specific time of a Rogue Mega evolution. I'm not sure how that is in an actual battle, considering you can Mega Evolve in a normal Pokemon battle, but that is a wait and see, especially once the game is done or released. Once a Rogue Mega Pokemon is defeated, it drops its Mega Stone, and you can only take on a Rogue Mega Evolution at night. Pokemon Legends ZA is scheduled to release on the 16th of October 2025. The third demo that I played while at PAX Aus was Kirby Air Riders. It was the longest line to wait in for myself. It took over an hour to try and play Kirby Air Riders. It was ridiculous how long that took. But it was a lot of fun as well. Definitely runs really smoothly. Again, I know that's been a thing to state about Switch 2 games, but boy, it is a night and day difference between how late Switch 1 games and early Switch 2 games run compared to each other. And the game looks very gorgeous on a big screen. It would be interesting to see what it looks like on a 4K screen, unless it was on a 4K screen while I was at the demo. I don't exactly know, but it will still look sensational on big screens and especially in 4K. The demo gives you a tutorial for the controls and a few mechanics, then throws you into a practice race and finishes off with a city trial. The city trial is by far the most exciting thing there. The races are really fun as well, don't get me wrong, but I had a lot of fun with doing the city trial. The city trial is definitely going to be really fun with people online and even people locally. I do have a few complaints, however, about the demo. Specifically, the demo, this may not be the case with the actual game when it releases. But I did see a small communication loading screen when playing with others in City Trial. I'm not sure if that was an online or a local thing, but still, the fact that it had to communicate with others, even if it was a small communication loading screen, was a bit concerning. As well as there being apparently a few seconds of latency for local multiplayer games. Do, however, take this with a pinch of salt, as there was multiple demos running at one time that were connected to each other, but also had separate demos connected to others at the same time, if that makes any sense. So it could have been the fact that one demo was playing with others, while the demo that I was looking at was playing with another group of people in the same demo. So one may have said 15 seconds left to go, while the other one said 12 seconds. They were still playing the same game or the same minigame after the city trial in the demo, but it was still concerning to see that there was a bit of latency while next to each other locally. That could be wrong, that could not be the case when the game releases, but do take what I said there with a pinch of salt, as that could be subject to change. Another bit of a complaint that I have is more of a confusing matter, especially considering when you're in game, your B button is everything. It is your dash forward, it is your drift around corners. Even though you don't have to press on the control stick at all, or move up on the control stick to move forward, you're always constantly moving. B will stop you in place and give you an extra boost out of the starting line, or even just in general if you want to sit back for a bit and wait for a bit of boost. But when you're drifting around corners, you also have to waggle the left stick and hold B at the same time to get a better curve and accelerate out of the corners that way. My big complaint, though, with that is that in game, B is used for everything, but in the menus, it swaps to A, but also B is used to confirm things within the menus as well. But in some other menus, the B is cancel. It's rather confusing and will take a bit to get used to, but once you get the hang of it, I'm sure you will be able to easily navigate through the menus without any issues. One last thing is that the results screen is very Smash Bros. Like, but considering it uses the same character models as Super Smash Bros. Ultimate, And considering the director is Masahiro Sakurai, it makes sense as to why the result screen looks very similar to Smash Bros. Even if it is a bit off putting at times, because when you look at the results screen, you expect it to not be sort of in the same style as Super Smash Bros. Kirby Air Riders is scheduled to release on the 20th of November 2025, the day after my birthday. I didn't get to play the Metroid Prime 4 Beyond demo, but I did get a little bit of footage. They were mainly showing Prime 4 with mouse controls, which I found interesting. Even if I didn't get to play the demo, the fact that they mainly focused on showing the mouse controls was a decision. I understand that mouse controls are a big selling point for the Switch too, but I don't know if that is the way to go with Prime 4. A big positive, though, is that you can go from mouse controls to normal controls and back again seamlessly. There is no issue or delay with going from mouse controls to normal controls or vice versa. It's great like that. One big concern I do have, though, is with that brief bit of footage that you're seeing repeated over and over again here, you do see that there is a bit of a skip or a slight stutter with cutscenes when you're moving forward towards a door. I'm not sure if that's going to be in the full game or if that was something specifically for the demo, but that was really off putting, and I'm not sure how that's going to be overall. Should be an interesting game nonetheless, considering the hype around it and the fact that the line at PAX Australia was booked throughout the entire day that I was there. You could not get in, so it was absolutely not worth waiting in a line for an hour and 20 minutes for something that was probably going to be a 15 or 20-minute demo. He says waiting in line for Kirby Air Riders as long as what he did. Metroid Prime 4 is scheduled to release on December 4th, 2025. I did also go to the Sims booth while I was at PAX Australia. It's been a long time since I've played a Sims game. The last Sims game that I played was actually The Sims 2. So it's been a long, long time since I last played The Sims. So much so that when I was playing through free play at the Sims booth, it was a little jarring because I didn't remember a lot of the controls. Especially considering I don't think Sims controls have changed a lot since Sims 4 to Sims 2. I could be completely wrong about that, but I've been out of the Sims loop for so long that it could be the case. Who knows? They definitely had a bigger booth than last year. Their booth last year was rather small with a fortune teller bit and a photo section only. This was a full on built camping experience, considering this was for their Adventure Awaits DLC expansion pack. Well, it's not something I was mainly looking at during the entire event of PAX. It was really fun to play, even if I was only there to really help support a friend who works at EA. But Sims is still cool nonetheless. The Sims 4 Adventure Awaits expansion pack is actually out now if you want to collect it, or if you haven't played The Sims 4 before but want to get that as well as the expansion pack that was being advertised, feel free to get it. The first indie game that I saw was called Luna's Ultimate Zodiac Party, which was made by Anubis Arts. It's crazy. It's basically a Mario Party style game. There's actually character customization, so you can go as in depth as you would like with your character, and you get to control that character throughout the boards or the game, the three different game modes, including a game mode that has every single person playing at one time. And considering online, they have up to 8 players available to play at once. Good lord, that sounds crazy. Having a game mode of 8 players playing all at once around a party board sounds absolutely mental. I am looking forward to seeing this game and playing more of this game. That is for sure. You get to play with 8 players online, but only 4 players locally, which makes sense, but considering they have up to 8 players online, that is crazy to think about. It is available to wishlist on Steam now. It is planned to release in Q4 2025, so sometime between now and the end of this year. There is a demo and a playtest available for this game now. The final game that I checked out while at PAX Aus was another indie game called Braveheart, which was made by Hojo Studios. Reminds me a lot of a board game from when I was a child called Rush Hour, where you had to basically move a bunch of little cars out of the way to make, at the time, I think it was a red car. They may have changed it in the time since I last played it. You have to help a red car escape a parking lot to get out of there. That was basically the premise of Rush Hour. Braveheart is a turn-based puzzle game where you're helping a trolley return to its rightful place after being abandoned. They also have a character that's a abandoned receipt helping out the trolley, and apparently you can also take on 2 mega corporations or try to take down a duopoly. This game sounds ridiculous, but it also sounds really fun. It doesn't have a release date yet. The release date is to be announced, but when it is released, 10% of every sale of Braveheart goes towards Clean Up Australia or a similar charity for international players. I would highly suggest wishlisting that on Steam as well and purchasing it, because not only are you getting a really fun and interesting turn-based style game based on Rush Hour, but you're also helping clean up the environment for the country that you live in, with 10% of every sale going towards a charity. And that was everything that I played while at PAX Australia. Ultimately, I could have done a little bit more while on the actual show floor, but considering we got evacuated rather quickly because of a false alarm with someone hitting the fire alarm, it definitely, not much else could really be done, even if they did get back to normal afterwards. Probably just delayed a whole lot of the proceedings while it was down there. That, and there wasn't really a lot of time left at the end of it anyways.